Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a very important video and that is about how we're gonna straighten a wooden floor. I've been asked so many times how I can straighten my wood floor, my joists or my floorboards, etc. So there are 4 methods that I'm aware of it. Maybe there are more, but there are 4 methods that I'm aware. I'm gonna go through all 4 of them. From these 4 methods, I normally use only 2, and I will explain you why. I'm gonna show you each one individually. I'm gonna talk a little bit about every single one, so you can have a better understanding if you come across to do something like that. This is very common when you do a renovation, to come across floors that are not straight and uneven. So I think this video will be very helpful. The first part will be technical. I'm gonna go to all the details, and then in the end I'm gonna tell you why I'm using the method that I'm using, and then I will show you how I'm gonna do it. Let me show you the first method, which is the sand and cement screed. So these are our joists. They are 8x2, and these are the floorboards. Yeah, so if you decide to straighten your floors with sand and cement screed, that sand and cement screed needs to be at least 5 centimeters high. Yes, otherwise it will crack. And also you have to put fibers inside the screed. Now imagine if you have an area that is 3, 4, 5 centimeters lower than your highest point. That means there you're gonna have 5 centimeters plus the difference, which if it's 5 centimeters, then you will have 10 centimeters. Now, the sand and cement screed weighs about 20 kilograms per 1 square meters on a 10 millimeter thickness. So if you have 10 centimeters of sand and cement screed, that will go to about 200 kilograms per 1 square meter. You don't have to believe me on that, but then you can go online and check that online. There's a lot of information about the weight of sand and cement screed. There are lighter sand and cement screeds, but I haven't tested them and I can't tell you how strong or how good they are. Now there is one where they like to put polystyrene bubbles or whatever they called inside and mix it with sand and cement, but I will not trust that to be better than the sand and cement. There are some screeds, liquid screeds. Yeah, they might be a bit lighter, they might be better in terms of flexibility, but I can't give you a lot of information about that. All I know that stuff will be quite expensive in compare with this method. Okay, so having all that weight on your floor doesn't mean that's never gonna crack, because if your floor joists are obviously spaced too much apart, or they kind of like weak, or they old, they have a bit of flexibility in, and all that weight might cause them to actually curve and bend. And then if your screed will be unsupported, that obviously will crack. So there's always a chance that your sand and cement screed will crack. So maybe in a bedroom where you have flooring or carpet, doesn't matter, okay, fair enough. But in a bathroom where you're gonna have tiling, that will be a problem. So this is a method that I never used. I know there's a lot of people doing this, especially in Romania and Eastern Europe. I never did this. I think there is other ways, better ways to do it. Maybe we're gonna come across on a job that is been budgeted to do so, then we're just gonna obviously make everything we can to make sure that doesn't crack. But like I said, I never done it. Personal, I never done it, and personal, if it will be up to me, I will never do this method. Okay. Let's go to the second method, because I don't want to be too long. So the second method will be this. You have your floorboards, and then in top of them you put, OSB, plywood, chipboard, whatever. I did something similar to this and like this for a few times in the bathrooms, where you need to level your floor. Let's say you have a walk-in shower or a shower tray that needs to come in the same level with your tiles. then you need to be very, very straight. So there we did something similar, and we tiled over and we never had problem. And we did this in a few occasions and we never had a problem. So you can do it two ways. One, you do your board, plywood, OSB chipboard, at least 9mm. I will say it has to be very well stuck to the floorboards, screws, expanding glue, and so on. But then on top of this, you need to put your self-leveling. Yeah. Now, I wouldn't tile straight on that self-leveling. I will always use a Ditramat to go over it. So then you have this board, self-leveling, Ditramat, and tiles. Sometimes that obviously brings you too high. Yeah. Now, the other problem with that is that you will never get the chance to inspect what is underneath, how the joists are, how the notches are. Are they okay? Some of them need replacing, some of them need to be strengthened. So you never had the chance to look underneath. And then imagine if something goes wrong, you're gonna have a lot of layers of stuff to lift up. Then the other alternative will be to use, and this we used quite a lot in UK, to do a backer board, screws and tile adhesive straight on the floorboards, then do a self-leveling on top of that if needed, and then you can tile straight on it. So we did that quite a lot. We never had a problem. I do have a video showing that method in particular. It's called tiling onto the floorboards. I'll leave a link here, otherwise you can find it on the channel, so I'm not going to go too much in details about that. But that is something that we obviously did in the bathrooms or somewhere where we need to do tiling. So the third method will be to add timber on top of the existing floor joist. So how we do that? Very simple. We take our laser. By the way, this is a great stuff, this lifter. You have this button here, and you just lift this up and down for your laser. Is great. I mean, before that, I used to use packers and all sort of things to do my level, but now it's very, very easy because this one is has very fine adjustment. So let's make these things a little bit more extreme, just so we have just so you know what I'm talking about. So I obviously tilted this joist. In reality, I hope you're not gonna get something like this, but this is just so we have a better understanding of what we're doing. Yeah, so all we need to do is to find our highest point in the floor. In our case is there. Yeah, so the laser is on top of the joist, and now we have to track that all the way along in all the joists in all the floor. Okay, so we have our laser, we found out what's the highest point, and now we're gonna take the timber that we're gonna use for our add-ons, and we're just gonna place it over. We're gonna mark it, and then we're gonna cut it, and then we're gonna install it. I will use screws, glue, nails, but definitely use glue. Now, this method, it's using the less material. So this is the cheapest method to actually straighten your floorboard. Now, but the problem is it takes long to do it, and you might find that is not 100%, and I'm gonna tell you why. In time, there's not a surprise that this joist will be a bit curved in the middle. Now, when you're gonna put this on, and this being a straight timber, they're not gonna be touching there, definitely. Now, you can do it in multiple pieces, and then it will be touching, but that will take ages. Now, when you're gonna cut this timber and you have 10-15 millimeters adds, and then we're gonna screw it down, that's gonna bend and follow the joist. So you're gonna have to use packers, shims, glue, and so on. So I think this method will take a lot of time. Now, let's say you don't have a laser, yeah, so let's turn the laser off. So you don't have a laser, yeah, how are you gonna do it? Very simple. You take a level, so you take a level, you take screws, and then you go from the highest point to your screw. So when you are happy with the level, yeah, then you put another screw, up, down, level, and then you move to another joist and so on. So after you're done with your level, and you know the screw is level with that and is level all along, you just take your timber, you place it on, you mark where the screw is, the top of the head, you mark everywhere, and then you join the lines and you cut your timber, and this is how you straighten your floor without a laser. So let me show you the last method of straightening up a wooden floor, and that's my favorite, and I'm trying to use that all the time as much as I can. Yeah, so we have the laser back on, we found out the highest point, and then we're just gonna take the timber that we're gonna use to do this, just place it on. Yeah, so we're just gonna place it on and follow the laser. Yeah, so when we're happy with that, we're just gonna shoot some nails or put some screws in this timber. Yeah, so there will be add-ons on the side, and now it's important to understand that you want this timber to be 2/3 fixed onto the existing joint and 1/3 up. You don't want this to be 10 centimeters higher and 5 centimeters here, because then it could rock. Now obviously you can put some noggings and stuff, but anyway, I will do 2/3 on the timber, on the joist, and 1/3 sitting up. So very easy, you just have to place it in there, you know, sit the laser and shoot some nails into it. The same thing you could do with the level. If you don't have a laser, you can put the level onto the wood and, you know, fix it in the position when it's nice and straight. The good thing about this method is that it is the fastest method, is the best method in terms of quality. And the third thing is, imagine if you have a 5 centimeter difference, then you have 10 centimeters on the joist, sorry, you will have a timber that is 15 centimeters and it will be added onto the actually joist. So I think that will strengthen that joist up, definitely will strengthen that joist up. So this is why I'm using this method. First, it's fast, it's good, and it does straighten the joist. So this is the method that I'm using, and I'm gonna show you now how I'm doing that. Okay, so we are up on the scaffold. We have our laser set up, yeah, straight on the mark. You can see here, there is at the top of the other room that we already did. There's the laser. We're gonna do the adds onto this side of the wood, yeah, because there we have the other side. So the laser is on the back, and we're gonna go from here going that way so we can see the laser for every single one. So what we have to do now is we're gonna take this digital measuring tool. You can use a tape measure, but it's a lot easier with this, especially if you are by your own. And we're just gonna measure from this plasterboard to that plasterboard. Yeah, so it's 2618 millimeters. We are going to deduct those 18 millimeters, and we're gonna leave 9 mil on either side, because we don't want our timber to be sitting against the plasterboard. We want to have a bit of a gap, just if the wood needs any space for movement. So as we are in between these two joists, we're gonna measure for both of them, and we're gonna measure for this notch here. The length will probably be pretty much the same, but this notch will change as we go along, because the floor kind of like goes like this. So as much as we go in that side, obviously we'll go higher and higher, so this measurement for the notch will change, but the length will pretty much be the same. This floorboard here is going to help us, because when we come to do the timber, when we come to secure the timber onto the joist, we're going to rest one end here and we're going to start nailing from there. Yeah, so it's going to be good, it's going to help us. If you don't have anything like that, then what you have to do, you have to measure from your laser, yes, down, put a screw or a nail, and then have your timber resting there, and obviously start from that side. Also, we want to clean all the mess, all the dust from the joist, and also we need to brush the side that we're gonna glue the timber to. So in order to cut this notch, it's very easy. We just take the tape measure, we put it on the laser, we add, let's say, 2 millimeters, and we cut this notch. We want our timber to drop down 1-2 millimeters from the laser lane, and then we can lift it up and nail it on the laser. We don't want it to be higher than the laser, because then it's nothing that we can do and we're gonna have to recut it. Okay, so that's the first timber in place. It's very important to check if it fits, because you don't want to put glue and then put it on and then you find out that it doesn't work. So this is what I was saying here. You just need to cut it so you rest there, and then we just need to maybe put it higher, about 1 millimeter. It fits here. I just obviously place it on this mortar here, but it does go lower, so this is good. All we have to do now is take it down, I mean on the scaffold, or even on the top of the joist, yeah, spread some glue, and then we're just gonna shoot nails every like 300 millimeters and some screws, and this is how we do it. So on these images you can see how I'm turning the wood on the side. I'm just spreading some expanding glue. So I do quite a bit of expanding glue because I don't want this to move, because if this timber will move in future, it might squeak. So by using some expanding glue, a lot of nails and couple of screws, I will prevent that to happen. If someone is wondering why do I use this white timber, they are about 300 mil. I did use the old floorboards. Some of them I just laminate them together from 2 floorboards. Obviously stuck. I had a timber now that is 300 millimeter by 50 millimeter, and I'm gonna use this to do the add-ons on the existing joist. I did that to save some money, because otherwise the timber will cost me about £1,000 to do that on the whole house. Plus I still have to buy some more timber for the noggings, and this floorboards wasn't enough to do these add-ons everywhere. I said this before, but maybe someone didn't saw that previous video. The timber in Romania is slightly more expensive than in UK. I mean, some of the timber is more expensive than in UK, because we don't have the luxury of going to the shop and buying this CLS 4x2 or 3x2 and obviously do work with that, because that is really cheap. The CLS is really cheap. So in here it wouldn't be the case anyway, because I needed something wider. I need to go about 10 centimeters above the existing joist, not because that's the difference is about 8 centimeters from one end to the other end of the house. So on about 16 meters we have a fall of 8 centimeters. But I needed to go a bit more, because I wanted to be dead level with my first step at the staircase. But the good thing about using this wide wood lamination is the fact that will put more power to the actually joist. Not that the joist is not strong enough. It's quite wide. It's about 15 centimeters wide by 20 centimeter high. So I think it's quite big. But with this add-ons will probably be even better. One more thing that I want to say is that if you choose to do these add-ons on the side of the joist, you have to use a timber that is wide enough to so you can put two boards together, because at some point you might have to join two boards of OSB or plywood or chipboard, so you want that to be wide enough in order for you to do a joint. You don't want to use just a single board that is 2 centimeters, because that won't be good enough. So you want to use at least a CLS, which is 3.8 centimeters wide. Anything less than that, I don't think will be a good idea. Okay, so let's see what we achieved. I have this straight edge which is 2.5 meter long. You can see it is touching everywhere. Obviously in some places, because these joists are obviously a bit like that, obviously the add-on will be following the joist, so it might be like there, slightly not touching in one of the corners, but that's like a mil or so. So that won't be any kind of problem when we're going to come to do the OSB on the floor, because that will be also glued and screwed. So I think we did a pretty good job. It's level, so this is how we level a wooden floor. In my case here, I will have to do some noggings as well, just to make sure that all the OSB is actually joining onto a piece of wood, so I don't have any OSB that sitting on air, let's say like that, because there's going to be a bathroom, we're going to have a tiled floor, so we don't want to have any cracks in the future. Okay, so this will be everything for today. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the video. Goodbye.